So here's some real talk. You probably shouldn't even think about getting a Huawei P40 Pro unless you already have a Microsoft 365 account and a completely separate other network connected device to fill all the holes in this thing's functionality. Was that too strong? Look, if you're not about that, I'm gonna make this 20,000 Rand device my primary computing machine life, then go right ahead, spend your money. But I am about that life, and I don't think that this is a good investment when it can't achieve all of the things its competitors can do all by themselves. Let's begin with the good stuff. This is a very pretty piece of hardware, and it ticks so many of my favorite flagship phone boxes right now. Main camera array lined up on one side of the phone. Check. A camera cutout where the notifications kind of wrap around it, giving you that whole full screen look. Check. Secure face unlock. Check. An in-display fingerprint sensor that doesn't blind you when you're unlocking your phone at night. Check. Well, kind of. So on the topic of secure face unlock, Mates 20 and 30 Pro, they had like the full Apple aping Face ID sensor, you know, that mini Kinect, that visor notch. Well, that's gone now. On the P series, front-facing time of flight sensor. So that's the same WhatsApp group as what Google did with the Pixel 4 and what LG did on the LG G8 and G8s ThinQ. So the air gestures are a little bit gimmicky, but it does that awesome thing that it also cribbed from Apple's homework, where it will only show you the lock screen notifications, like the full contents of it, when it detects your attention. So that's awesome. But it's in the notifications where things kind of start to fall apart for EMUI. Don't get me wrong, it's come a long way over time. Notification management looks like it's still coming out to 2016. So there's inline replies to like WhatsApp messages in the notification shade, but not from the lock screen, even though you have that fancy face unlock, show you all your notifications on your lock screen thing. And that's the story with Huawei. It copies so much from all of the other manufacturers, but it doesn't pay any attention to the care or like the core philosophy of those features on those devices. And then, P series is the photography focused phone, but there's no hardware shutter key. And then to quick launch the camera, it's a double press on the volume down key. So if you're listening to music or listening to a podcast, you're adjusting the volume on that app. You're not launching your camera. So whatever happened that you want to take a picture of, that moment's past now. It's a complete mess that I thought Huawei would have figured out by now. But while we're talking about the camera, is this still the low light champion? Oh, hell yes. But trust me, that trick gets really old really quickly. If you're like me, and you're not just shooting static objects in near total darkness, it's not really that handy. So for general lighting photography, there's a more nuanced conversation we need to have with Huawei here. Huawei, you have the biggest camera sensor on a phone. Why won't you let me hard select which lens I want to use? Even in Pro mode, there's no clear indication of which camera you are actually using. Like it says wide, and then everything else is treated as this fluid focal range, and then all you get is this framing that just keeps shifting by like a little bit all the time as you are going like through the zooms or like switching through selecting different things. So here's a picture I took of a bee on a ledge. It's a dead bee on a ledge. So I snapped the shot and then I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try and get a better composition here. And then I just kept fighting this camera so that I can use the primary sensor. So I know what I want to show off. Just let me choose it. And that was Master AI mode off. And that's just the infuriating part about it. But look, when this camera lands the shot, it is stunning. Huawei cannot help itself and just dials up the AI processing, and like the contrast goes crazy, especially when it's backlit images. So like wherever it detects like an edge, it's just going to define that edge in a way that sometimes looks a bit comical. And the jury is still out on what the reference is for the AI's portrait mode. So I think I'm starting to get the hang of this camera. But it's already been a week with my SIM card in this phone, and that is becoming a massive problem that I'll tell you about later. On the video side, there's nothing really special. So that cine-wide lens is really nice and a good nice to have, but LG has spoiled me with full manual video controls that even includes bitrate. Like, there's no way to get the highest quality you can out of this machine. But at least there's a microphone hole that's pointing in the same way as the main cameras. Since we're talking about video, the standout feature is the direct integration of the DJI Osmo Mobile 3 into the native camera app. And that's the one big advantage Huawei has with this forced pivot away from Google mobile services. It can let the developers integrate deeply into the API level. But for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the opposite side of that is all of my subscription services and all of my paid for Android apps, they don't work here. So that already punches a massive hole in my personal productivity. But then there's those little quirks that I wasn't really prepared for. So the Discovery app is not listed on the app gallery. Neither is WhatsApp, by the way, but I'll tell you about that later. So I'm on a Zoom call presentation with Huawei South Africa, and I asked them about this, sitting with the phone in my hand. And they're like, that must be a glitch. But try Petal Search. So I tried Petal Search, which is like this Google-type search engine that can collate all of the APKs of like apps that are missing from the app gallery, and you can sideload it. And that's how you get WhatsApp, by the way. So I download the Discovery app. So bear in mind, the Discovery Bank app is here in the app gallery next to all of the other major banks, but not the Discovery Health app. So what is it? It's a web page. It's a freaking web app. That is unacceptable. You can't redeem your Discovery miles on the web app. And that's just the thing. I expected all of my paid for Android apps and my subscription services to not work on here. I accepted that. Then there's also no contactless payment. And I know none of this is Huawei's fault, but I expected Huawei to have done better by now. If I didn't have a Microsoft 365 account, I would have been completely in the dark. Because at least that way I could use Microsoft Edge to bring over a lot of like my saved passwords and stuff, and bring all those like lifestyle sort of features that we take for granted on other Google integrated systems, that I could at least bring to this device and have some sort of normalcy. This is a beautiful device, and the 5G connectivity is becoming an important feature, especially on the high end, and that is here. And buddy, this is still a battery beast. 7 hours of screen on time, and that was while I was testing out the camera features. This is amazing battery life. And this is an excellent set of cameras. If you love that AI processing high contrasty look that like Google gives you on the Pixel and Huawei has traditionally given you on their high-end devices, then it's a good set of cameras for you. But if you have already invested your workflow or your money in Google-dependent services and subscriptions and paid for apps, then you're gonna
have a bad time.
If you don't have another network-connected device that is going to fill in for all of Huawei's deficiencies, like an iPad or different Android phone that has full access to Google mobile services,
gonna have a bad time.
And I'm sorry, but 20 grand is a lot of money to spend on a device that cannot become your primary computer all on its own. And if you're not trying to turn a 20 grand flagship smartphone into your primary computing machine, why are you spending 20,000 Rand on a phone? There's so many other options where you can have a really good experience, but for like half of the price. So my final verdict is this is very nice. I could use it because I have like my iPad mini that always travels with me, that I can fill in for a lot of these holes. But if you don't have that luxury, and this is going to be the only electronic mobile device that you are going to carry with you, give this a skip. But that's just my opinion. I'm Lindsay, and I'll catch you in the next one.
So where's the part where we have a good time?
Hey, little dude, you got some crap right here.
Well, that's my face, sir.